Welcome to my presentation. It's about the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Pakistan is located in South Asia and it borders to the northeastern side of Pakistan, borders China, to the northwest, Afghanistan. To the east, you will find India, and to the west is Iran. Now, the capital of this nation is known as Islamabad. So in 1940, Ali Jinnah, who was the head of the Muslim League of India, began advocating for an independent Islamic nation. During that time, Pakistan was still a part of the nation of India. In 1947, India had gained independence from Great Britain, and this was a perfect opportunity for the head of the Muslim League of India to separate from India. In 1956, Pakistan became a republic, and Ali Jinnah became the nation's first general. In 1971, Pakistan had fought wars with India, and during that time, there was an election that was called in 1970, and there was a great divide in the nation in terms of the West Pakistan and East Pakistan. During that time, 1971, East Pakistan became the independent nation of Bangladesh. Currently, what we know as Pakistan have 4 provinces: the Punjabi, Balochistan, Sindh, and Northwest Frontier. Kashmir is the highly contested region of Pakistan. In fact, highly disputed region. This region have great influences on the decision and the outcome of the country as well.
Story begins soon after the creation of Pakistan in 1947. The country's founding father, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was faced with a rather awkward fact. There were almost as many Muslims, if not more, in India than there were in this newly created country of Pakistan. So it is quite obvious that Jinnah was very conscious of this fact when he delivered his famous speech on the 11th of August 1947, clearly stating that religion has nothing to do with the business of the state. Just 2 years later, an objectives resolution was passed, which was supposed to be a summary of the final constitution. And just guess where a huge chunk of it came from. The work of a man who during the Pakistan movement had actually denounced Jinnah, the chief of Jamaat-e-Islami, and an Islamic scholar, Abdul Ala Maududi. Contrary to common belief, he wasn't just another Islamic cleric. He was a well-read and prolific journalist and author. Not only did he challenge the Muslim nationalists of the likes of Jinnah, but he had also managed to offend many Deobandi and Barelvi scholars. So when the 1956 constitution changed the name Republic of Pakistan to Islamic Republic of Pakistan, it did not come as a surprise to many. In 1958, President Iskandar Mirza, who wasn't happy with the constitution, terming it as a selling of Islam for political ends, conspired with the military chief Ayub Khan and dismissed the assembly, and the country's first martial law was imposed. Just 20 days later, Mirza himself was dismissed by Ayub and forced to leave the country. In 1962, Ayub brought a new constitution that highlighted the regime's understanding of Pakistani nationhood to being a Muslim state where the modern and reformist spirit of Islam would guide the country's politics and society. The parties of the left, like the Awami National Party, opposed him on the basis of his policies with a capitalist outlook, and religious parties like Jamaat-e-Islami opposed him for his more liberal policies. Politics in Pakistan was already getting much complicated by the time Ayub transferred power to Yahya Khan in 1969. In the elections of 1970, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman of Awami League won the highest number of seats in East Pakistan, and the People's Party of Pakistan was the winner in the West. The delay in the handing of power to the Awami League saw the eruption of a full-scale war in East Pakistan. This war resulted in East Pakistan becoming the independent Republic of Bangladesh. In December 1971, the power was handed over to the elected Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's party, the Pakistan People Party. It was in 1972 that Pakistan studies became a compulsory subject in schools. Although the Bhutto regime was populist, socialist, and largely secular, in 1973 it managed to get a consensus from all parties to unveil a new constitution that reintroduced Pakistan as an Islamic republic. In 1976, a nine-party alliance of religious and anti-Bhutto secular parties united under the umbrella of the Pakistan National Alliance, or the PNA. In 1977, the Bhutto regime met the main religious leaders of the PNA belonging to JI, the Jamiat Ulma Islam and the Jamiat Ulma Pakistan, and agreed to make Friday the weekly holiday instead of Sunday. He also agreed to ban the consumption and sale of alcohol and close down all the nightclubs and bars. But this did not save him from receiving another shock. In July 1977, his own general toppled him and then arrested him, which led to a shameful trial of his hanging. Zia almost immediately got down to the business of radically transforming the ideological complexion of Pakistan, starting with the ban of any mention of Jinnah's famous speech of 11th August 1947. Soon, Jinnah's famous motto, Unity, Faith, Discipline, was changed to Faith, Unity, Discipline, placing faith before the others. Religion was the perfect kind of excuse for a dictator to flex his muscles at that time, especially in a country where the upper and middle classes who had traveled to oil-rich Arab countries had confused the power of the petrodollar with the power of the strands of faith. The greatest tragedy of Zia's policies was the birth of a mindset that refused to recognize the multi-ethnic and multi-sectarian makeup of the country, and instead offered a rather complex, stiff, and artificial understanding of the faith. This promoted an inelastic and an entirely narrow-minded strands of faith, pushing them from the fringes of society into the mainstream, and in the process retarding the natural evolution of Pakistan's multicultural character and society. It also offended various Muslim sects and subsects, creating serious sectarian tensions. In 1988, on a clear, bright day, a special VIP C-130 Hercules took off from Bahawalpur Airport. 2 minutes later, it dove nose first into the desert, exploding in a ball of fire. In it, along with other top-rated Pakistani officials, was Ziaul Haq. No one survived. Soon, the general elections were held and Benazir Bhutto of PPP became the first woman prime minister in the history of Pakistan. Only 2 years later, President Ghulam Ishaq Khan dissolved the National Assembly, dismissing Bhutto's government on charges of alleged corruption and incompetence. Fresh elections were held and Nawaz Sharif was elected as the prime minister. You would think this time the democracy was finally restored. However, unfortunately, 3 years later, Sharif's government was dismissed for the same reasons: alleged corruption and incompetence. General elections were held. Benazir Bhutto was elected prime minister for her second term. Farooq Ligari, a member of the PPP, was elected as the country's president. Another 3 years went by and President Farooq Ligari dissolved the National Assembly, dismissing Benazir Bhutto's government, which was operating under a cloud of corruption allegations. General elections were held again. This was the fourth time such polls had taken place since 1988. Nawaz Sharif's PMLN party won in a landslide, and he was elected prime minister for the second time. 2 years later, his army chief, General Pervez Musharraf, took power in a coup, placing Nawaz Sharif and other political leaders under house arrest. Pakistan saw another long period of military dictatorship, which finally came to an end when general elections were held in 2008, with Yusuf Raza Gilani elected prime minister and Asif Ali Zardari, Bhutto's widower and now co-chairman of the PPP, replacing Musharraf as president. In 2013, the PPP-led coalition government became Pakistan's first democratically elected civilian-led government to complete its 5-year term in office. A caretaker government was appointed and a general election was set for the 11th of May.
People of Pakistan are very beautiful and very diverse and colorful, like the spices they cook with. In the population of Pakistan, there is over 240 million people, and they are multiple ethnic makeup. 44.7% of the nation is Punjabi. So the Punjabi is ethnicity is the predominant, is very predominant. And next is the Pashtun. And as you can see, the other numbers. The main language spoken in Pakistan is Punjabi. And it makes sense because majority of the people in society are from the ethnic background of Punjabi. So this slide is speaking about the different languages that are spoken. However, despite that, majority of the people in Pakistan speak Punjabi. The Urdu is considered Pakistan's official language, and it's spoken by 8% of the population. Women in society. I cannot do this presentation without mentioning women in society. So in the Pakistani society and the cultural framework of Pakistan, women are expected to assume the traditional role of being a wife and being the homemakers. However, in some of the province and in different parts, based whether it's the rural, whether it is urban, a lot of the different components influence women's role and how they execute that. So women are able to have a job, and in fact, in the Punjabi province, the women are expected to pick cotton. That is a woman exclusive only job, right? A woman exclusive job. And they're allowed to keep the money that they earned. And in other parts of the nation and in other family and more religious and more wealthy families, the women are expected to practice the purdah, and this is the screening or the veiling, where the women are covered. They're restricted in how they go about their day and what they do, and they also are located in like separate parts of the house. So basically the woman part of the house will be in the back and the men will be in the front. And so that is also a part of the Pakistani society and culture. Women also play very important roles in society. However, they are journalists, they are nurses, they are teachers, and they act in roles of politics. And right here, I have a picture of Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. And at 35, she became the first Prime Minister of Pakistan. So the population of Pakistan is predominantly young. So over 60% of Pakistan's population is under the age of 30. Pakistani's youth in society. Now, the young children in Pakistan are expected to help in family chores and attend to family business. So Pakistan is a patriotic society, and that means the men are dominant, the men take the lead, the men makes the decision. The society is predominantly patriotic. Children are expected to help out with the family chore, and in the society, children are also given the opportunity to get an education. Majority of the family in terms of marriage and so forth with the young people are arranged. The education system, there are 6 levels to it. We have the preschool, the primary, the middle, the intermediate, and the secondary, and then the later on to university programs. There's also, those are considered the formal type of education. There's also the informal type of education, like the vocational schools, the technical training, the agricultural training, center apprenticeship programs, and the non-formal education system is madrasas, and that is basically Pakistani way of educating the people. This is where the religious education comes in, and mainly the regions that are more impoverished and more rural, you will see this form of religious education. And in the religious education, students are trained to read the Quran. They're trained to understand and interpret the words of Muhammad. And logics are also taught, and philosophy. So the Constitution of Pakistan states that education should be free, and it is free. The governing board of the Pakistani's education system is the Federal Ministry of Education, And this same ministry is responsible for creating the curriculum. So the government sets the curriculum for the people, and the government decides the textbooks that are used in school. The provincial governments are the ones that are mostly in charge of the vocational schooling and technical training. Pakistan have the second largest school dropout rate. You see that by the time students reach at the secondary level, look at the percent, 70% of the students drop out. Females have the highest dropout rate in all ages. Okay, so we just want to turn gears here. In spite of the many factors that Pakistan has to deal with, Pakistan had made their mark on the world of sports. So in the Pakistani society, they enjoy, this is what they do for entertainment. They're very big on literature, and their Pakistan is very well known for the sport of cricket, excel in field hockey. So cricket is the favorite sport. Field hockey is equal to the Pakistani people in terms of what they favor to play. Pakistan also dominated the world stage in the 80s and the 90s in squash, events and crisis. So currently the economic crisis in Pakistan is a big, big problem. The nation of Pakistan is in great debt, and that comes from the nation spending too much and producing very little. Also, in August of 2022, a major monsoon left 1/3 of the country underwater. Wow. Millions of people were displaced and thousands of people died. Another issue that is worth noting is Pakistan's current education system. It is a major problem. Think about it, since most of the nation is under 30, and many of the students who enter into the education system are dropouts. That leaves little hope and prospect for the nation, because the younger generation are not competitive enough on the world scale. They are not producing enough, and it's a boiling pot of disaster if Pakistan do not make major changes to their education system.